The cultivation bay smelled like earth and growing things. Dr. Hannah Park walked between the rows of plants, checking their growth with careful eyes. The space station Aegis 7 grew its own food, and someone had to make sure the plants stayed healthy. Today, that someone was her. 3 young Vraxi followed behind her. Their names were Taemin, Jiwoo, and Saman. They were students, learning about other species and how different worlds grew food. The Vraxi looked like huge cats that walked on 2 legs. Their fur was short and gray, with thick scales running down their spines. Their claws could cut through metal if they wanted. Their teeth were sharp enough to bite through bone. But these 3 were young. They were curious. They asked many questions. "Why do humans eat so many plants?" Taemin asked. He was the biggest of the 3, with darker fur and a scar already forming on his shoulder from training. "Our bodies need different things," Hannah said. She smiled at him. "Your people eat mostly meat. We eat both meat and plants. It keeps us healthy." Jiwoo moved closer to a tomato plant. She was smaller than Taemin, with lighter fur and bright yellow eyes. "They smell strange," she said. "But not bad." Saman said nothing. She usually stayed quiet, watching everything with careful attention. Her fur was the palest of the 3, almost silver in the station's lights. Hannah reached for the harvester blade. It was a tool that cut plants cleanly so they could grow back. The machine should have been locked in its safety position. Someone had forgotten to lock it properly. When Hannah's hand touched the control panel, the blade spun to life. It moved fast, faster than she expected. The sharp edge caught her hand before she could pull away. Pain shot up her arm like fire. Blood appeared immediately, running down her palm and dripping onto the floor. The cut was deep. She could see white bone through the red. Behind her, the 3 young Vraxi reacted instantly. Taemin's roar shook the walls. His body dropped into a fighting stance, claws extending from his fingers. His lips pulled back from his teeth. Every muscle in his body tensed for attack. Jiwoo snarled and spun in a circle, searching for an enemy. Her tail lashed back and forth. Her scales stood up along her spine, making her look bigger and more dangerous. Even quiet Saman made a low, threatening sound deep in her chest. Her yellow eyes turned to slits as she scanned the room for whoever had hurt their teacher. "Who did this?" Taemin demanded. His voice was rough with anger. "Show us the enemy." Jiwoo's claws scraped against the metal floor. "We'll make them pay." But Hannah did not roar. She did not search for someone to fight. She did not match their anger. Instead, she sat down on the floor, right there between the plant rows. She pressed her other hand against the wound, applying pressure. Blood seeped between her fingers, but she kept pressing. Her face showed pain. "Yes." She breathed harder. Sweat appeared on her forehead, but she stayed calm. "It's okay," she said. Her voice was steady, even though it hurt. "I need you all to step back. Please, give me some space." The 3 young Vraxi stared at her. They did not understand. Their bodies shook with the need to fight, to destroy, to make someone hurt for hurting their teacher. This was their nature. This was how their species had survived for thousands of years. But someone hurt you. Taemin took a step forward. "Tell us who. We'll protect you." "It was the machine," Hannah said. She looked at her hand, checking the damage. The safety lock wasn't engaged. "It was an accident." "Then we'll destroy the machine." Jiwoo moved toward the harvester, claws ready. "No." Hannah's voice was firm but not angry. "Stop. All of you. Just stop and breathe." They froze. The command in her voice made them pause, even though everything in their bodies screamed to attack something. "I need to stop the bleeding first," Hannah explained. She kept pressure on the wound. "Getting angry won't help. Fighting won't help. I need to stay calm, so I can think clearly and take care of this properly. Taemin's claws slowly retracted, but his body stayed tense. You're not angry? How can you not be angry? You're hurt. I am hurt, Hana agreed. It hurts a lot, actually. But anger won't make it hurt less. It won't make it heal faster. Anger would just make me do something stupid that might make things worse. The three young Vraxi looked at each other. This made no sense to them. In their culture, in their very biology, pain meant rage. Pain meant finding who caused it and making them suffer. Pain meant violence. Always. Salmon finally spoke, her voice quiet and confused. But the pain, doesn't it make you want to hurt something? It makes my body want to. Hana said. She took slow, deep breaths. My heart is beating fast. My body wants me to fight or run. But I can choose not to. I can tell my body to calm down because I know that won't help right now. The door to the cultivation bay opened. Instructor Cheol entered. An older Vraxi with silver streaks in his dark fur. He was their teacher. The one who supervised their studies with other species. He took one look at the scene, and his own body tensed for combat. What happened? His voice was a low growl. I heard Taemin's battle roar from 2 corridors away. Dr. Park is hurt, Jiwoo said quickly. But she won't let us fight. She won't even get angry. Instructor Cheol moved to Hana's side. He saw the blood, saw the deep cut, and his scales rippled with the instinct to attack. But he was older, more controlled. He had learned to hold back his first reaction, at least for a moment. You need medical attention, he said. I know, Hana replied. Can you help me to the medical bay? I need to keep pressure on this while I walk. Cheol helped her stand. He supported her arm carefully, making sure not to jostle the injury. But his eyes kept moving around the room, still looking for a threat, still ready to fight. The 3 young Vraxi followed them out of the cultivation bay. They walked in a protective formation around Hana, their bodies tense and ready. Their eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. Someone had hurt their teacher, even if it was just a machine. The need to protect, to avenge, burned in their chests. But Hana just walked calmly between them, still pressing on her wound, still breathing slowly and steadily. I don't understand, Taemin whispered to Jiwoo as they walked. How can she be so calm? If I was hurt like that, I would be destroying everything around me. Maybe humans are just different, Jiwoo whispered back. Maybe they don't feel pain the same way we do. But Salmon, walking behind them, remembered the sweat on Hana's face. She remembered how hard Hana had been breathing. She remembered the way Hana's hand had shaken just a little bit when she first sat down. No, Salmon said softly. She feels it. She just chooses not to let it control her. The other 2 looked at her. That idea was strange. Frightening, even. Pain was supposed to control you. That's how you survived. That's how you knew to fight back, wasn't it? In the medical bay, the human doctor treated Hana's hand. The 3 young Vraxi watched through the window, their tails still twitching with unspent aggression. Instructor Cheol stood with them, his face thoughtful. Inside, Hana never screamed. She never attacked the doctor when the treatment hurt. She just gripped the edge of the table and breathed. This is wrong, Taemin said. Something is wrong with her. But he couldn't stop watching. None of them could. They had seen something that should not be possible. They had seen someone choose not to be angry when everything said they should be. And deep in their young minds, a question began to form. A dangerous question. A question that would change everything. If she could choose, could they? The medical bay released Hana after 3 days. Her hand was healed. Mostly. The doctors had used the advanced technology of the station to repair the damage quickly. The bones were whole again. The muscles worked. But the doctors said she needed physical therapy to make her hand strong again. Taemin, Jiwoo, and Soman asked Instructor Cheol if they could watch her therapy sessions. They said it was for their studies. They said they wanted to learn about human healing. Cheol looked at them for a long time before he agreed. He was curious, too, though he would not admit it. The way Hana had responded to her injury had bothered him for 3 days. It went against everything he knew about pain and survival. The therapy room was small and quiet. Hana sat at a table with a human therapist named Minho. He was young and smiled a lot. On the table were different objects: balls to squeeze, weights to lift, and puzzles to solve with her fingers. The 3 young Vraxi sat against the wall, watching. "How does it feel?" Minho asked as Hana picked up a soft ball. "Stiff," Hana said. She squeezed the ball slowly. Her face tightened. "And it hurts a little." Taemin's claws extended slightly. Jiwoo's tail started to move. But Hana just kept squeezing. Slowly, carefully. Her jaw was tight. Small drops of sweat formed on her forehead. But she did not stop. She did not throw the ball. She did not roar or snarl or attack anything. "Why do you keep doing it if it hurts?" Jiwoo asked suddenly. The question burst out of her before she could stop it. Hana looked at her and smiled, though the smile was a bit tight. "Because this kind of hurt helps me heal. My muscles need to work again. The pain tells me I'm pushing them, making them stronger. It's different from the pain of the injury." "Pain is pain," Taemin said. His voice was hard. Minho spoke up. "Think of it like training. When you exercise hard, your muscles hurt. Right? That's good pain. That means you're getting stronger. But if you break your arm, that's bad pain. That means something is damaged." The 3 young Vraxi looked at each other. They understood training pain. After combat practice, their muscles burned and ached. But they had never thought about it as being different from injury pain. To them, all pain meant the same thing: fight back against whatever caused it. "So you decide which pain is which?" Salmon asked quietly. "Yes," Hana said. She switched to a heavier ball. Her hand shook as she squeezed it. "My brain tells me this is healing pain, not danger pain, so I can work through it." For the next hour, they watched Hana work. She grimaced. She breathed hard. Sometimes she had to stop and rest. But she never got angry. She never lashed out. She treated the pain like information, like a teacher telling her what her body needed. After the session ended, the 3 young Vraxi followed Hana back to her quarters. Instructor Cheol walked with them, saying nothing but listening to everything. "Can I ask you something?" Taemin said as they walked. "About my people?" "Of course," Hana replied. "Do you think we're less than humans? Because we can't control our anger when we're hurt?" Hana stopped walking. She turned to look at Taemin directly. "No, absolutely not. Your people survived for thousands of years by responding to pain with aggression. On your homeworld, that probably saved your species. It's not less. It's just different. But you can do something we can't," Jiwoo said. "You can choose not to be angry. We can't." "Are you sure you can't?" Hana asked. "Or have you just never tried?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Instructor Cheol's tail went very still. His scales rippled once, then settled. "That's dangerous thinking, Dr. Park," Cheol said quietly. "Does it?" Hana asked. She was not challenging him, just asking. "How many young Vraxi die from injuries because they destroy medical equipment? How many hurt themselves worse by fighting when they should be healing?" Cheol said nothing. But his silence was answer enough. Over the next few weeks, the 3 young Vraxi kept coming to Hana's therapy sessions. They watched. They asked questions. They began to understand that humans felt pain just as strongly as Vraxi did. But they processed it differently. One day, Taemin asked to try an experiment. "I want to see if my body reacts the same as yours," he said. "When you feel pain, what happens inside?" Hana agreed. They went to the medical bay. The doctor, a kind older woman named Dr. Unji, set up monitors for both of them. The monitors would show their heart rates, their stress hormones, and their brain activity. We'll use a controlled pain stimulus, Dr. Yunji explained. Just a small electric shock. Nothing dangerous. Are you both ready? Hana went first. The shock made her jump. Her monitors showed everything. Her heart rate spiked. Her stress hormones flooded her system. Her brain lit up with warning signals. Her body was screaming at her to do something, anything, to make the pain stop. But she just sat there. She breathed slowly. She closed her eyes and focused on calming herself. My body wants me to fight or run, she said, her voice strained. Every instinct says, move, attack, escape. But I know this pain won't kill me. I know it will stop soon. So I tell my body to be calm. Taemin watched the monitors. He saw the war happening inside her. Her body wanted violence. Her mind chose peace. And slowly, her body listened to her mind. Now me, Taemin said. He sounded determined. Dr. Yunji gave him the same shock. His reaction was immediate and overwhelming. His heart rate exploded. His stress hormones went beyond the scale. His brain screamed danger. His body moved before he could think, jerking away from the source of pain. His claws extending, his teeth baring, a snarl building in his throat, but then he stopped. He forced himself to stop. His whole body shook with the effort. His muscles screamed to fight. His instincts demanded violence, but he closed his eyes and tried to breathe the way Hana did. It lasted only a few seconds before he lost control. He roared and slashed at the air, his claws cutting through nothing. The medical equipment beeped warnings. Dr. Yunji stepped back quickly. When Taemin finally calmed down, he was breathing hard. He looked at his claws, still extended, still ready to hurt something. He looked at the monitors, showing his body's betrayal of his intentions. I tried, he said. His voice sounded defeated. I really tried. You did, Hana said. She came to stand beside him, careful not to get too close while he was still agitated. You held it back for a few seconds. That's more than you've ever done before. Isn't it? Taemin nodded slowly. Then that's progress, Hana said. You just proved something important. You proved that you can fight your instincts, even if just for a moment. That moment can get longer with practice. Jiwoo, who had been watching everything, spoke up. So we're not broken? We're not weak because we react with rage? No, Hana said firmly. You're not broken. You're not weak. Your bodies were designed for survival in a harsh world. But here, on this station, in this galaxy of many species, maybe survival looks different. Maybe strength means choosing when to fight and when to heal. Instructor Cheol had watched the entire experiment from the doorway. Now, he stepped into the room. His face was troubled. Dr. Park, he said slowly, what you're teaching them, it could change our entire culture. If young Vroxy learn that they don't have to respond to pain with rage, what happens to our warrior traditions? What happens to our identity as a people? I don't know, Hana admitted. I'm not trying to change your culture, instructor. I'm just showing them that there are different ways to handle pain. What they do with that knowledge is up to them, up to you, up to your people. Saman, who had been quiet through all of this, finally spoke. What if we don't want to be only warriors? What if we want to be more? The question was soft, but it hit like a hammer. Cheol's scales flattened against his spine. Taemin and Jiwoo stared at Saman like she had just said something forbidden. That, Cheol said carefully, is a question for elders and councils, not for cubs and human teachers. But even as he said it, he knew the question was already out. It could not be taken back. The three young Vraxi had seen something impossible. They had seen a human feel pain and choose peace. They had felt the possibility of doing the same thing themselves. And once you know something is possible, you can never truly forget it. That night, lying in their quarters, the three young Vroxi talked in whispers. Do you think we could really learn to do what she does? Jiwoo asked. I want to try, Taemin said. Did you see her? Her body was screaming at her to fight, but she didn't. Salmon said nothing for a long time. Then, very quietly, I think we're about to find out if strength means fighting everything, or if it means choosing what to fight for. In her own quarters, Hana looked at her healed hand. She had shown the young Vraxi something new. She hoped it was something good, but Instructor Cheol's words echoed in her mind. She had started something, and she had no idea where it would end. The alarm in the training arena screamed through the corridors. Hana was in her lab when she heard it. She dropped her tablet and ran. That alarm meant someone was hurt. That alarm meant emergency. She reached the arena in less than a minute. The doors were sealed. Through the window, she could see chaos inside. Several adult Vraxi were trying to approach something in the center of the zero-gravity combat space. They moved slowly, carefully, like they were approaching a wild animal. What happened? Hana asked the guard at the door. Young Taemin, the guard said. His name was Hyun, and his scales were rippling with stress. His safety harness failed during aerial combat training. He fell hard. His shoulder is dislocated, maybe broken. Two harness. Hana's stomach dropped. Let me in. Absolutely not, Hyun said. He's in pain. He's raging. He'll attack anything that moves. We're waiting for the sedation team. Through the window, Hana could see Taemin. He was on the ground, holding his left shoulder with his right hand. His face was twisted in pain and fury. His mouth was open in a continuous snarl. Two training instructors tried to approach him, but he lashed out with his good arm, his claws nearly catching one of them. Please, one instructor was saying. Taemin, we need to help you. Let us sedate you, so we can fix your shoulder. But Taemin was beyond words. The pain had triggered his rage instinct. He could not think past the need to attack, to fight, to make something hurt the way he was hurting. His yellow eyes were wild. His whole body shook. Then Hana saw something that made her heart race. Taemin's eyes focused for just a moment. His mouth closed. He took a breath that looked deliberate, controlled. He was trying to remember what she had taught him. He was trying to fight his own nature. Open the door, Hana said. I can't do that, Hyun replied. You're not Vraxi. If he attacks you, he could kill you in his state. He's trying, Hana said urgently. Look at him. He's trying to control it. If we sedate him now, we tell him he failed. We tell him he can't do it. Please, let me try. Instructor Cheol arrived, breathing hard from running. Behind him came Jiwoo and Salmon. They must have heard the alarm too. Taemin, Jiwoo cried out when she saw him through the window. Her own body tensed, ready to fight whoever had hurt her friend. He's trying to remember, Salmon said quietly. She pressed her hand against the window. Look, he's really trying. Cheol watched Taemin for a long moment. The young Vraxi would take a breath, try to calm himself, and then the pain would spike and he would snarl and slash at the air again. Over and over. Trying and failing. Trying and failing. This is dangerous, Cheol said to Hana. If he hurts you, it will destroy him. Even in his rage, some part of him will remember. Some part of him will know he hurt someone he cares about. Then help me make sure he doesn't, Hana said. But he's earned the chance to try. We can't take that from him. Cheol's scales went flat, then rippled, then flat again. He was at war with himself. Finally, he nodded to Hyun. Open the door, but keep the sedation team ready. If he charges her, put him down immediately. The door slid open. Hana stepped into the training arena. Behind her, she heard Jiwoo gasp. She heard Salmon whisper something that might have been a prayer. Everyone else back away, Hana said quietly. Give him space. Too many people will make it worse. The training instructors retreated slowly. They did not go far. They stayed ready to intervene. Hana walked toward Taemin carefully. Not too fast. Not threatening. She kept her hands visible and empty. She kept her body language calm. Every instinct screamed at her to be afraid. Her heart was pounding. Her palms were sweating. But she breathed slowly and pushed the fear down. Taemin, she said. Her voice was low and steady. I know you can hear me. Taemin's head snapped toward her. He snarled. His claws scraped against the floor. But he did not charge. Some part of him recognized her. I know it hurts, Hana continued. She stopped about 10 feet away from him. Close enough to talk, far enough to maybe dodge if he attacked. I know your body is screaming at you to fight. Your pain wants you to be angry. Your instincts want you to attack. Taemin's breathing was harsh and fast. His good arm trembled. His injured shoulder hung at a wrong angle. The pain must have been incredible. But you're stronger than your instincts, Hana said. You've been practicing. You've been learning. You held back your rage for 3 seconds last week. Remember? You did that. You proved you could. Taemin's snarling quieted just a little. His eyes focused on her more clearly. He was listening, fighting to listen through the pain and rage. Breathe with me, Hana said. She took a slow, deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Your body wants to fight, but your mind can choose something different. Your mind can choose to heal. Taemin tried. She could see him try. His chest moved as he attempted to match her breathing. But the pain was so strong. His face twisted, and he growled deep in his throat. It's okay, Hana said. The pain is real. I'm not asking you to pretend it doesn't hurt. I'm asking you to feel the hurt and choose not to let it control you. Just for a moment. Just for one breath. Behind her, through the window, Jiwoo and Somin watched with desperate hope. Cheol's claws were out, ready to charge in if Taemin lost control completely. One breath, Hana repeated. Just give me one controlled breath. Taemin's eyes locked onto hers. His whole body was shaking with the effort. Every muscle in his body wanted to explode into violence. The pain was a living thing inside him, demanding rage, demanding destruction. But he looked at Hana, and he tried. He took one slow breath. One single controlled breath while his body screamed for war. Good, Hana said. Her voice almost broke with relief. That's good, Taemin. Now another one. The second breath was harder. Taemin's control was slipping. His claws flexed. His tail lashed. But he breathed. One more breath. You're doing it, Hana said. You're sitting with the pain. You're feeling it without becoming it. Now, I need you to let the medical team help you. Your shoulder needs to be fixed. Can you let them approach? Taemin's mouth opened. Words came out rough and broken. It hurts. I know, Hana said. It's going to hurt more when they fix it. But if you can stay calm, if you can keep breathing, they can help you. Will you try? For a moment, Taemin just stared at her. Then, very slowly, he nodded. Hana gestured to the medical team. They approached with extreme caution. Dr. Unji led them, carrying a medical scanner and pain medication. She moved like she was approaching a sleeping predator. Taemin, doctor, Unji said softly. I'm going to scan your shoulder first. It will not hurt. Then I'll give you medicine for the pain. Then, we'll put your shoulder back in place. Do you understand? Another nod. Taemin's jaw was clenched so hard his teeth ground together. But he did not attack. He kept his eyes on Hana and matched his breathing to hers. The scan took 10 seconds. 10 seconds, where Taemin's body shook and his claws dug furrows in the floor. But he did not move. He did not strike. It's dislocated but not broken, Dr. Unji said. That's good news. The pain medicine will help in a moment. She injected the medicine. Taman flinched, but held still. His breathing got a little easier as the medicine began to work. But his eyes never left Hana. Now comes the hard part, Dr. Yunji said. I need to put your shoulder back in socket. It's going to hurt a lot for a few seconds. Can you handle that? Do it, Taman managed to say. His voice was a growl, but it was a controlled growl. Dr. Unji worked quickly. She took Taman's arm and pulled. There was a terrible popping sound. Taman roared. His free hand slashed through the air. His body arched with pain. For a moment, Hana thought he would lose control. For a moment, she thought the rage would win. But then, Jiwoo's voice came from behind them. Breathe, Taman. Remember. Just breathe. And Salmon's voice joined hers. You can do it. We believe you can do it. Taman heard his friends. He heard Hana's steady breathing. And somehow, impossibly, he controlled himself. The roar turned into a long, harsh exhale. His claws slowly retracted. His body stopped trying to fight. The shoulder popped back into place. Dr. Unji quickly secured it with a support brace. The pain medication was working better now. Taman's breathing slowed. His eyes cleared. You did it, Hana said. Her voice was full of wonder. Taman, you did it. You stayed conscious. You stayed in control. You let us help you. Taman looked down at his shoulder. The brace was in place. The pain was already less. He had been injured and treated while fully awake. No other young Vraxi had ever done that. Ever. I did it, he said. His voice was full of shock and pride and disbelief. Jiwoo and Salmon rushed in. They circled Taman carefully, still worried he might lose control. But he just sat there, breathing hard, looking at his friends, with wonder in his eyes. How do you feel? Jiwoo asked. Like I just fought the hardest battle of my life, Taman said. But I won. I actually won. Instructor Cheol stood at the edge of the arena. He watched his students celebrate. He watched the impossible thing that had just happened. A young Vraxi had been injured and treated while conscious and aware. It should not be possible. It should go against everything in their biology, their culture, their history. But he had just watched it happen, and he knew nothing would ever be the same. That evening, an emergency message went out to the Vraxi homeworld. It was from the training director, an older warrior named Commander Bora. She had watched everything through the security cameras, and she was not happy. A formal complaint has been filed, Instructor Cheol told Hana in her quarters. Against you. They say you're teaching our youth to suppress their warrior nature. They say you're making them weak. There will be a hearing. Hana looked at him steadily. And what do you think? Do you think Taman was weak today? Cheol's scales rippled. I think, he said slowly, that I watched a young cub fight the hardest battle any Vraxi has ever fought. And I think he won. But I also think you've started something that my people are not ready for. Change is coming. And change is often painful. Pain doesn't have to mean fury, Hana said quietly. No, Cheol agreed. But sometimes it does anyway. The council chamber was built to hold many different species. The ceiling was high. The temperature controls could shift to make anyone comfortable. There were seats for those who sat, perches for those who stood, and water tanks for those who swam. Today, it was filled with Vraxi elders, station officials, and observers from a dozen worlds. Hana sat at a simple table in the center. She wore her standard station uniform. Practical, professional, nothing fancy. Her hands were folded on the table in front of her. She looked calm, but her heart was racing. Across from her sat Commander Bora. She was an older Vraxi with silver streaking through her black fur. Scars covered her arms and face, marks from 100 battles. Her eyes were hard as stone. She wore the full armor of a Vraxi war leader, even though there was no war here. The armor was a statement. It said, "I am a warrior, and I defend my people's way." Beside Bora sat 3 other Vraxi elders, all wearing traditional ceremonial robes. They looked at Hana with suspicion and concern. To them, she was a threat. Not a physical threat, but something more dangerous. A threat to their culture itself. The station commander, a calm woman named Administrator Hayun, called the hearing to order. She was human, but she had worked with dozens of species for 20 years. She knew how to navigate difficult cultural questions. "We are here," Hayun said, "to address a formal complaint filed by Commander Bora of the Vraxi delegation. The complaint states that Dr. Hana Park has interfered with Vraxi cultural practices and endangered young Vraxi by teaching them to suppress their natural pain responses. Commander Bora, please present your case." 1. Bora stood. When she spoke, her voice filled the chamber. "What Dr. Park has done is not education. It is cultural erasure. For 10,000 years, the Vraxi have survived because we respond to pain with strength, with rage, with the power to fight back against whatever threatens us. This is not just our culture. It is our biology. It is written into every cell of our bodies." She activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air. Ancient Vraxi fighting massive predators on their homeworld. Warriors defending their families from enemies. Young Vraxi learning to channel their rage into precision and power. "Our ancestors lived on a world that wanted to kill them," Bora continued. "Everything on our homeworld was dangerous. The animals, the plants, even the weather. We survived because when we felt pain, we did not freeze. We did not hesitate. We attacked. We fought. We won. This instinct saved us from extinction." The images shifted. Now they showed Vraxi warriors in modern times, defending colonies, fighting pirates, protecting other species. Today, we are known across the galaxy as fierce warriors. Other species hire Vraxi soldiers because they know we will never back down. We will never surrender. Pain only makes us fight harder. This is who we are. Bora turned to face Hana directly. "But you have taught our young that this is wrong. You have taught them to suppress their rage, to sit with their pain instead of answering it. What happens when a Vraxi warrior who has learned your methods faces a real enemy? What happens when they hesitate? When they stop to breathe instead of attacking?" She brought up new images. These were statistics, death rates, injury reports. Young Vraxi are already vulnerable. Their control is not fully developed. If you teach them to doubt their instincts, you will get them killed. You will weaken an entire generation. And for what? So they can be more like humans? We are not humans. We should not try to be. Bora sat down. The chamber was silent. Her words had weight. Her words had truth in them. Hana could not simply dismiss them. Administrator Hayun looked at Hana. "Dr. Park, you may respond." Hana stood. She did not have armor or statistics or 10,000 years of history. She just had the truth as she saw it. She hoped it would be enough. "Commander Bora is right about many things," Hana began. "The Vraxi people did survive because of their pain response. Their rage instinct saved them. I'm not here to say that was wrong, or that Vraxi culture is inferior. I would never say that." She took a breath. "But I do want to add some context. Commander Bora showed you how Vraxi warriors defend and protect. She showed you their strength, but she didn't show you the cost." Hana activated her own display. The images that appeared made several Vraxi in the chamber shift uncomfortably. "These are death statistics for young Vraxi," Hana said. "Not from battle, not from enemies, from accidents, from medical treatments, from their own rage response. The numbers were staggering. 40% of young Vraxi die before they reach adulthood. That's not from war. That's from the pain response itself." She showed medical reports. "When a young Vraxi is injured, they must be sedated immediately. If they're not, They will attack anyone who tries to help them. They will hurt themselves further. Many die because they destroy the medical equipment before treatment can be completed. Many die because they fight the healers. Many die because they cannot be helped in time. The chamber was very quiet now. These were numbers the Vraxi knew but did not talk about. This was the price of their warrior culture. I'm not trying to make Vraxi into humans, Hana said. I'm trying to give young Vraxi a choice. The ability to assess a situation and decide, is this a threat I need to fight? Or is this pain I need to heal from? That choice could save lives. Commander Bora stood again. You speak of choice, but choice in battle gets you killed. A warrior who hesitates is a dead warrior. How can you promise that your teachings won't create that hesitation? I can't, Hana admitted. She brought up human history. Not the peaceful parts, the wars, the battles, the times humans had to fight to survive. Humans feel fear just as intensely as any species. We feel rage. We feel pain. Our bodies scream at us to react, but we learn to control those reactions, and that control made us better warriors, not worse. A soldier who can think through fear is more effective than one who simply reacts to it. A fighter who can assess threats calmly will survive longer than one who attacks everything. She showed battle statistics, survival rates, tactical analyses. Control doesn't mean you don't fight. It means you fight smart. You fight when fighting will help. You heal when healing is needed. You choose. One of the Vraxi elders spoke up. His name was Elder Daehyun, and his fur was almost entirely silver with age. But choice requires time. In battle, there is no time to think. You must react. Training gives you time, Hana replied. If young Vraxi practice controlling their pain response in safe situations, it becomes automatic. They can still react quickly, but their reactions will be controlled, precise, chosen. Not just blind rage. You ask us to change something fundamental, another elder said. This is not a small thing. 8. I know, Hana said. And I'm not asking all Vraxi to change. I'm just asking that the ones who want to learn should be allowed to learn. Let it be voluntary. Let young Vraxi study both methods, traditional Vraxi training and controlled response techniques. Then let them choose which serves them best. Administrator Heyun looked at both sides. Before we continue, I believe there are some individuals who wish to speak. Young Vraxi, who have direct experience with Dr. Park's teachings. Taemin, Jiwoo, and Saman entered the chamber. They wore simple student uniforms. They looked small among all these elders and commanders. But they walked with their heads high. You wish to speak? Hayun asked them. Yes, Taemin said. His voice was steady. We want to tell you what we've learned. Grain. Commander Bora's scales rippled. Cubs do not speak in formal councils. Perhaps that's a tradition that could change, Hayun said gently. They are students in this station's educational program. They have a right to speak about their own education. Bora's jaw clenched, but she sat down. She could not refuse without seeming unreasonable. Taemin spoke first. 3 weeks ago, I was injured. My shoulder was dislocated. If I had followed our traditional way, I would have been sedated immediately. I would have been unconscious for hours while they treated me. But Dr. Park taught me another way. I stayed awake. I stayed calm. I let them help me. And it worked. He stepped forward. That was the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than any combat training. Harder than any test of strength. Fighting my own instincts. My own pain. My own rage. That took more strength than I knew I had. Jiwoo spoke next. I used to think strength meant never backing down, never showing weakness, always fighting. But now, I know that's only one kind of strength. There's another kind. The strength to feel pain and choose how to respond to it. Both kinds of strength matter. A.T. Weeth, Saman, quiet as always, had the most dangerous words. We are still Vraxi. Learning control doesn't make us less Vraxi. It makes us more. We still have our instincts. We still have our rage. But now, we also have choice. We can use our rage when it helps, and we can set it aside when it doesn't. Isn't that better? The chamber fell silent. The young cubs had spoken with a clarity that cut through all the complicated arguments. Commander Bora stood slowly. Her face was hard to read. You speak well, cubs. But you are young. You have not faced real battle. Real threats. Real enemies who want to kill you. Your confidence may be misplaced. Maybe, Taman agreed. But shouldn't we be allowed to find out? Shouldn't we be allowed to try? Grain. Elder Daehyun spoke up again. I have a question for Dr. Park. You say control makes better warriors. But what about those who cannot learn control? What about those who cannot fight their instincts? Will they be seen as failures? As weak? Hana met his eyes. That's a real concern. And that's why this should always be voluntary, never forced. Some Vraxi may find it easier than others. Some may choose not to learn it at all. The traditional way has worked for your people for thousands of years. It's not wrong. It's just not the only way. The council members looked at each other. They spoke in low voices. They debated. They argued. The discussion went on for hours. Finally, Administrator Hyun called for order. We have reached a decision. The chamber went silent. Everyone leaned forward. This decision would shape the future of how species interacted on this station. Maybe beyond. Dr. Park may continue her work, Hyun said, but with conditions. First, all training must be voluntary. Young Vraxi will not be required to participate. Second, it must be paired with traditional Vraxi combat training. Students will learn both methods. Third, this will be considered an experimental program. We will monitor the results carefully. If we find that it causes harm, it will be stopped. Hana felt relief flood through her. It wasn't everything she hoped for, but it was enough. But Commander Bora stood one more time. You have started something, human. Ideas are dangerous. Once they're released, they cannot be controlled. You think you're helping our youth, but you may have just destroyed the foundation of what makes us Vraxi. Or, Instructor, Cheol said, speaking for the first time, she may have just helped us evolve into something more than we were. Meeting, Bora looked at him. I support giving our young the tools to survive, Cheol said. All the tools. Not just the old ones. The galaxy is changing. Maybe we should change with it. The hearing ended. People filed out slowly. But the words lingered. The question lingered. What does it mean to be Vraxi? And who gets to decide? 6 months passed like water flowing through open hands. The program grew. More young Vraxi from across their territories asked to come to Aegis 7. Some came curious. Some came skeptical. Some came because they had lost friends to the pain rage, and they wanted to believe there was another way. Taemin, Jiwoo, and Somin became teachers themselves, helping younger students understand what they had learned. They were living proof that the method worked. They trained hard in traditional combat. But they also trained in what Hana called the space between. The space between feeling pain and reacting to it. The space where choice lived. Not everyone succeeded. Some young Vraxi tried and could not overcome their instincts. They returned to traditional training. And that was okay. Hana reminded everyone that this was not about being better or worse. It was about finding what worked for each individual. But some succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. And those successes started to change things. The real test came on a Vraxi colony world called Taejun. It was a mining colony, harsh and dangerous. Pirates had been raiding the supply ships, growing bolder with each attack. The colony requested military support. Among the defenders sent was a young Vraxi named Dayun. She had trained at Aegis 7 for 3 months. She knew both ways, the old path of pure rage and the new path of controlled response. Now she would find out which path would keep her alive. The attack came at dawn. 3 pirate ships, heavily armed. They did not expect much resistance from a mining colony. They were wrong. Dayun was on the perimeter defense when the first explosion hit. Shrapnel from a blast caught her leg. The wound was deep. Blood poured out. Pain screamed through her body like fire. Every instinct told her to rage, to attack, to find whoever hurt her and tear them apart. Her body flooded with the chemicals of fury. Her claws extended. Her vision narrowed to red. But then she remembered Hana's voice. She remembered sitting in the medical bay, learning to breathe through pain. She remembered Taemin's success. She remembered that she had a choice. Dayun took cover behind a cargo container. Her squad leader was shouting at her to fall back, to get to medical. But if she fell back, her position would be open. The enemy would pour through. Her friends would die. So she did something that had never been done before in Vraxi combat history. She took off her belt and wrapped it around her leg above the wound. She tightened it until the bleeding slowed. She checked her weapon. She controlled her breathing. She chose to stay and fight, not out of rage, but out of tactical necessity. The pirates attacked her position hard. They thought one wounded Vraxi would be easy to overcome, but Dayun fought smart. She used cover. She waited for clear shots instead of charging blindly. When the pain spiked, she acknowledged it and kept fighting. She did not let the pain control her actions. When reinforcements arrived, they found Dayun still at her post. She had held her position for 20 minutes, while badly wounded. She had taken down 6 pirates. She was still conscious and alert when the medics reached her. The medics treated her wound right there, in the middle of combat, while she stayed awake and aware. They had never done that before. They had never been able to. Usually, wounded Vraxi were too dangerous to approach until they were sedated. The entire event was recorded by security cameras. The footage was sent to military commanders across Vraxi space. It spread like fire through dry grass. Everyone saw it. Everyone talked about it. One young Vraxi, injured in combat, choosing to treat her wound and continue fighting instead of raging uselessly. One warrior who survived because she controlled her pain instead of letting it control her. The debates that followed were fierce. Traditional warriors said Dayun had just been lucky. They said, in a real fight, hesitation would have killed her, but the evidence was clear. She had survived when rage would have killed her. More young Vraxi requested transfer to Aegis 7. The program expanded. Instructor Cheol was promoted to oversee the entire curriculum. He worked with both traditional masters and human educators to create a balanced training program. But not everyone was happy. There were protests on some Vraxi worlds. Some called it cultural betrayal. Some said the young were abandoning their heritage. Fights broke out between traditionalists and progressives. The Vraxi people were dividing. Hana watched it all with mixed feelings. She had wanted to help. She had wanted to save lives. But change was painful. Change created conflict. She wondered if she had done the right thing. Then Commander Bora came to see her. The old warrior arrived at Hana's quarters late one evening. She was not wearing her armor. She looked tired and older than before. "May I come in?" Bora asked. Hana stepped aside. "Of course." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Bora spoke. Her voice was heavy. "I came to tell you something. Something I did not say at the hearing. Something I have told no one." Hana waited. "I had a daughter," Bora said. "Her name was Nari. She was training to be a warrior, like me. She was strong and brave and fierce. I was proud of her." Bora's claws flexed, then relaxed. One day during training, she fell from a climbing wall. It was not a high fall. She injured her arm. It was not serious, but she was young, and her pain response was not fully developed. She raged. She attacked the climbing wall, trying to destroy what had hurt her. She brought down a support beam. It fell on her. The old warrior's voice cracked. She died because she could not control her response to pain. She died because she did what her instincts told her to do. She died because that is our way. Hana felt tears in her own eyes. I'm so sorry. I have opposed your methods, Bora continued, because accepting them means accepting that my daughter died for nothing. It means accepting that there was another way, that if she had known what you teach, she might still be alive. That is a hard truth to carry. It's not for nothing, Hana said quietly. Your daughter, and all the young Vroxy who died like her, they showed your people that something needed to change. They paid the price that brought us to this moment. That's not nothing. That's everything. Bora looked at her for a long time. You have changed my people. Some hate you for it. Some praise you for it. But the change is here. It cannot be undone. The question now is, what do we do with it? We give young Vroxy the tools, Hana said. Both the old tools and the new ones. We trust them to choose wisely. We honor both paths. And we remember those who died so that these choices could exist. Bora nodded slowly. Perhaps that is wisdom. She stood to leave, then paused at the door. My daughter's name was Nari. When you teach, will you remember her? Will you tell students that their choice exists because of ones like her who had no choice? I will, Hana promised. I'll make sure they know. After Bora left, Hana sat alone in the quiet. She thought about Nari and all the young Vroxy who had died before these choices existed. She thought about the ones who would live now, because of what had changed. The years passed. The program at Aegis 7 became famous across many worlds. Other species began to ask if their young could study there too. The station expanded into a full academy. 10 years after the day Hana cut her hand in the cultivation bay, the academy held a graduation ceremony. Timon stood at the front as a master instructor. He wore the traditional markings of a Vroxy teacher and the uniform of the academy. Behind him sat students from a dozen different species. Vroxy, humans, and many others. A young human child raised her hand during a demonstration. Master Timon, I have a question. Why don't you get angry when you're hurt? Timon smiled. It was a Vroxy smile, showing teeth, but gentle. I do get angry, he said. My body feels rage. My instincts want me to fight. But anger is information, not a command. Pain tells me something is wrong, but I choose what to do with that information. The child looked confused. How do you choose? There is a space, Timon explained, between the pain and my response to it. That space is very small at first. So small, you might not even notice it. But with practice, you can make that space bigger. Big enough to think. Big enough to decide. That space is where wisdom lives. Who taught you that? The child asked. Timon looked to the back of the room. Hana sat there, silver now in her black hair. She was older, but her eyes were still bright. Still kind. She had stayed to see what her teaching would become. A human taught me, Timon said. She showed me that strength is not just about how hard you can fight. It's also about what you choose to fight for. She showed me that my people's greatest strength was not our rage. It was our ability to adapt, to choose, to evolve. He looked at all his students, Vroxy and non-Vroxy alike. Your species all evolved to survive. You have instincts that saved your ancestors. Those instincts are important. Honor them. But remember that evolution does not end with biology. Evolution continues through choice. You can choose to be more than your instincts. You can choose to be wise. After the class ended, Hana walked through the academy. She saw young Vraxi practicing controlled breathing while in simulated pain. She saw them training in traditional combat with fierce dedication. She saw them learning to honor both paths, to choose which tool fit which situation. She saw Jiwoo teaching a class on emotional regulation. She saw Saman leading a philosophy discussion about the nature of strength. She saw species learning from each other, sharing their different approaches to fear and pain and courage. Instructor Cheol found her in the observation deck. He was fully silver now, an elder in truth. "You look thoughtful," he said. "I'm thinking about that day," Hana replied. "When I cut my hand. When 3 young cubs saw something they couldn't understand. I never imagined it would lead to all this." "You planted a seed," Cheol said. "A dangerous seed," as Commander Bora warned. "Ideas are dangerous. But some dangerous ideas are necessary. Without them, nothing ever changes. Nothing ever grows." "Do you think we did the right thing?" Hana asked. Cheol considered the question. "I think we gave young people a choice. What they do with that choice is up to them. Some will choose the old ways. Some will choose the new ways. Some will blend both. All of those choices are valid. That's what freedom means." Down in the training arena, a young Vraxi stumbled and fell. Pain shot through her knee. For a moment, her body tensed for rage. Her claws started to extend. But then she stopped. She breathed. She assessed the injury. She decided it was minor. She got up and continued training. It was a small moment. Barely noticeable. But in that small moment lived everything that had changed. The space between pain and fury. The space where choice existed. Hana watched the young Vraxi continue training and smiled. The cubs had snarled at her wound all those years ago. They had not understood why she chose peace over fury. But they had believed her when she told them pain did not have to mean rage. And in believing, they had changed not just themselves, but their entire people. The galaxy was full of species with different strengths. Humans were not the strongest, or the fastest, or the fiercest, but they had learned something valuable, that the strongest power was not the power to fight, but the power to choose when to fight and when to heal. And now, 10 years later, young Vraxi were learning that same lesson. They were becoming something new, not less Vraxi, not more human, just more complete. Warriors who could rage when rage was needed and heal when healing was needed. The space between pain and fury had been empty once. Now it was filled with wisdom, and that wisdom would spread to other species, to other worlds, to other young people learning that their instincts did not have to control them. Hana looked out at the stars beyond the station. Somewhere out there, young people from 100 worlds were learning to find that space. Learning to choose. Learning that evolution was not just something that happened to them, but something they could choose for themselves. Pain would always exist. Fear would always exist. Rage would always exist. These were part of being alive. But between the feeling and the action was a space. And in that space lived the thing that made any species truly strong. The power to choose. The cubs had snarled at the human's wound. She had told them pain does not mean fury. And they had believed her. In believing, they had become more than their instincts. They had become wise. And wisdom, Hana thought, was the greatest gift any species could share with another.